Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the jljpodcast. It's your boy, Jack Wormer. I'm here, my man, JVK.
How's it going, guys?
Of course, we're here with Matho.
G'day.
And also, we've got a very special guest. Now, who is our guest, Matho?
All right, lads. So you've got two words here, Alir. And when you say Alir, who do you recognise that with? Big Ben Horsnell is on the show. Horsey, how are you?
Good, boys. How are you?
Yeah, very good. It's great to have you.
Finally showed up on the show, Horse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mate. It's good to be on here. I'm looking forward to it.
Horse, is it true that you decided to back out last week when we asked you to come on?
No, I just think it was poor from the host because they didn't give me enough leeway, and I didn't have anything to talk about. So I think it was poor from you boys.
Oh, okay. That's our bad.
Fair enough.
Very happy.
And Horse, just quickly, can we confirm you're wearing a hat whilst we're recording this?
I can confirm I am wearing a hat, Matho. It's,
you are, Horse. Oh.
Nike?
Of course, mate.
Nike?
Yeah, it's the white Nike one, mate. Yeah, it is.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Nike,
Good stuff. All right.
Hit us up.
We'll handball it over to VK. Get the quick fires going, Vix.
All right, Horse, I'll ask you a few questions. Starting off with a question that I've got a lot of hate for some reason in my quick fires. Beach or river? Yeah.
I'll easily go beach, mate.
Alrighty. PS4 or Xbox?
I'm a PS4 person.
Absolutely. 2K or FIFA?
FIFA, definitely.
Are you a Netflix man or a Stan man?
Definitely Netflix.
Stan,
Never actually watched
that rhymed
Stan,
as well.
Yeah.
Betts or Rioli in their prime?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna have to say Rioli, I reckon.
But waiting for one day to say Bets, and then we have to have a go at them.
Yeah. Cripps or Bontempelli?
I gotta say Cripper.
That's fair enough. If you could have one player come to the Swans out of anyone in the AFL right now, who would you select?
I reckon Christian Petrarca.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely dominating this year. He's a big bloke. He's got all the technique, and I think he'll just fit perfectly into the Swans midfield.
That's fair enough.
Very nice.
X-White prize boy for you there.
Absolutely, mate.
Get him on.
We will have him on.
So Papley or Cameron from the Lions? That's the best small forward in the AFL.
I'm gonna go with Papley, mate.
That's because you're a Sydney fan?
Obviously, yeah.
Unbiased decisions. Luke Parker versus prime Jared McVeigh.
Oh, that's a toughie. I'm going to say McVeigh. I think he was more consistent, whereas Parker's, a little bit off and on. Don't really get that consistent performance from him. So, yeah, I'm going to say McVeigh.
It's very much fair enough. And Horse, I know you're a Big Brother supporter, just like myself.
Absolutely, mate.
Tonight's the grand final, and
very keen.
First of all, who do you want to win, and then who do you actually see winning tonight, Horse?
Well, I've said from the start I've wanted Daniel Gorringe.
Absolutely.
So I pray to God that he pulls through. But I think the fans' votes are going to go to Big Chatty Boy. He's been an absolute beast, both in challenges and just an all-round good bloke. So I think he might take home the granny.
It'll be the worst Big Brother winner of all time.
Yeah, you could say that.
So it'll be very interesting unless Dan wins. Then it'll be great.
It will, but it's been awesome. That's sure.
Very nice, Horse.
Yeah,
very nice. All right, so moving on to should we review last round, Jacko?
We will, but first we have to start off with we did ask the people, if you're following our Instagram, make sure you're following Instagram at the JLJ Podcast. We do have some questions sent in from our our supporters.
Fans.
Yeah, from all the fans.
Lots of fans.
Following. So make sure you go follow the JLJ Podcast on Instagram for any updates we might give you, any behind-the-scenes stuff that we put on there. So, yeah, I got the first question. This one's actually one from the comments from last video. And it's from someone we've had on the podcast in a previous episode. Lachlan Blizzard was on our podcast where we talked about the Premier League, Pie supporter. And he did comment, is Braden Maynard in all Australian contention? What are our thoughts on that?
100%.
100%?
I definitely think he is. Especially in the game, he's been very, very consistent this year, and especially in the game against Essendon, where their whole team struggled. He was a massive standout, and I actually gave him the 1 vote in that game, getting absolutely dominated by Essendon. But yeah, he's been very, very impressive this year and a great Collingwood backline.
Yep.
I think he's stood up in Jeremy Howe's absence, and even when Jeremy Howe was there, the run off the half back line was very, very strong. Good player, and I think he's definitely in contention, but still only halfway through the season, so see how it goes.
Yeah. Horse, what about you? You reckon he could be All-Australian this year?
Yeah, I reckon he's a very good chance, boys. I just love watching him from a personal view. I think he just moves the ball really well from half back and gets the game moving forward. So I think he's a really big asset to the Pies backline, and obviously with Jeremy Howe out, he needs to step up, and I think he's done that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I guess I'm similar with all you guys. I think he will make All-Australian, but I think it will be tough considering how good some of the small defenders have been this year. Of course, Maynard probably a bit taller than some of these other short defenders. But you think about, probably one of these players have to miss out. Doherty, Maynard, Sard, Laird, Hearn, all quite been good this year. So he's got a fair bit of competition in his spot, but I think he could end up taking the spot there over. I think probably Doherty and Maynard will be the 2 leaders for the small defenders.
And Jacko, you laughed at my selection of Doherty at the start of the year.
Yeah, you know what I did? I thought after his knee construction he'd be stuffed, but
there you go, Jacko.
There you go. We definitely could. If he doesn't get injured, I think he will make it into the back pocket spot. So yeah,
hope so.
Wouldn't be surprised. So Matthew, a couple more of our questions.
Yeah, so a few more questions. Dave Jackson. We won't be able to repeat this question, but can confirm it is VK.
All right, fair enough. Don't know what it is, but VK.
Alfie Morley. My goldfish is turning 7 this year. His question was, how old is your goldfish turning this year?
Horse, how old's the goldfish this year?
Oh, God. No comment, boys. This one's back in the old days, so I think we can move on from this joke, please.
We'll get a bit of backstory for this one. So, Big Ben Horsey here leaves the house about twice a year to see us lads. So the usual excuse is someone's birthday, So it seems to be, the pet's birthdays most weekends. So yeah,
just a family man.
Yeah, he's a family man. We'll admit.
You got to respect that,
man. Yeah. He has started to grow out of his shell, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's
absolutely horse.
Thanks, lads.
Now there's 2 more, Jacko. One from VK. I don't know why one of the hosts is commenting here, but before we get into it, it's he said it's not a question; it's more of a statement.
Oh, okay.
Matt Priddis is a very good shout at Team of the Decade.
That's fair enough from VK.
I just needed to get my point across again to make sure.
If you think about it, his statement was correct with JVK's statement. So with his Team of the Decade, so he's hit it right on the nail. Of course, not exactly. Probably anyone else's Team of the Decades. But,
no, there was one on the internet actually. No, there was one on the internet that had Matty Priddis in there. Right. Yeah, that gave me the idea. I'm like, so that's just the backstory.
Nice to see you got your own opinions.
And
yeah.
Last question here, again from Lachlan Blizzard. I think he needs to maybe come back on the podcast. His comments in the social media site are getting a lot, so might have to get back on the podcast, please.
Wouldn't mind him.
But and this is more focused on the A-League instead of the AFL. But
fair enough.
As most of you probably know, Melbourne Victory aren't in the best looking side at the moment. And his question: what do Melbourne Victory have to do to successfully rebuild the club?
There's a lot.
Yeah.
I can just keep playing the young players. So they just got to give them opportunities. You know, we keep getting all these older guys for 1-year contracts, and that's not working at the moment. I reckon just the younger guys need to keep playing, getting more game time, and then also make a few signings. But don't make them 1-year contracts of older players. Make them a bit younger for a few years and see if we can rebuild through that.
Exactly, Vico. I was having a lengthy conversation with a fan as well. And I think it starts at the board level, really. Hiring managers, players, everything. They need to stop bringing back recycled players, which unfortunately is what happens with the A-League, and try to make a homecoming story for publicity.
Yeah.
But I like you said, Vico, I think the youth is a big thing. Like you see a fair few youth players from Australia going overseas now. You got Singh, or however you pronounce his name, at Bayern Munich. Daniel Azani's come back from an ACL injury, and they will come through the A-League as well. So put them on the pitch, and they've actually got hope in their journey, instead of bringing back 1 year, like older players that are just looking for a paycheck and a holiday for their family in Australia for a year or two. I think playing the youth and actually giving them a red hot crack in a league that they can try and prove themselves, I think will be a big turning point for the club. Sydney FC played 2 youth players on Friday night, and both of their youth players scored the goals to win.
Yeah.
I think also the managers, I think ever since Kevin Muscat left, I think we have been in a little bit of strife. I think as good as it is having managers from overseas and German managers, we've now got a Scotland manager that's just been upgraded from an assistant or something. And Carlos Salvatore, who was the assistant for Kevin, the Spaniard, I think none of them really understand the type of football played in Australia. Overseas football, it's a different quality here in Australia.
Yeah.
So I think Kevin being brought up with the league, playing in it, and then managing in it for however many years he was the manager of Victory, I think kind of reiterates the fact that he knew better than anyone else how to counter other teams and the best side to put forward. And so,
yeah, I sort of guess similar to you guys. It's all in the youth. Considering that, 5 years ago the MLS was, I guess, in a similar situation to where the A-League is now, and their government put a lot of money into developing the young players and developing, I guess, soccer as a sport in America. So I think that's sort of what has to be done in Australia for the A-League to become, competitive within Asia and stuff. Because, simply now, soccer just isn't cared for in Australia, if I'm being honest. When you look through some of, how many people watch on the games, halfway through last year or whatever, you had more people watching like Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh women's T20 cricket on Foxtel than, an A-League game. I think just says a lot about what the game is currently in Australia. Of course, with the Women's World Cup coming up in 2021 or 2023, something like that, coming up to Australia, I think that'll be a big publicity boost for the sport in Australia.
Exactly.
Considering that our women's are also, competitive in, I guess, out of the teams or out of the country, so they all do all right, which also help. But yeah, I think it all just comes down to putting money into the youth and, finding people that are actually willing to stay in Australia. Because as you guys said, with the older players, they're happy to come for 1 year, but then, they just leave. And I guess that's similar with the youth players. They'd rather go play in Europe and get paid, double, triple the amount. And like same with in the Asian countries, they'll get paid double the amount they'd get in Australia. So
they've got to prove themselves first, though, which I think is a good thing in the A-League and the youth academy that they are kind of starting to focus on. I know at Parade, they've got the Melbourne City Academy, and I know a couple of the ACC boys from Whitefriars come up against a few lads from Parade and all around the metropolitan area, I might say, that have been on the academy side. I think one's on the Victory Academy side. But yeah, I think it's definitely a big thing, and hopefully when Marco Rojas comes on in the near future, we can confirm that he's coming on. Hopefully he can take us a little bit more in depth with what's happening at Victory.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess moving on back to footy, I guess a short segue out of soccer. So I hope you guys, if you want to listen to more, I guess, soccer and other sports related, make sure you leave your comments down in the comments below, asking more soccer or any other sports really related questions, and we'll be able to answer them. Yeah, we go straight into our round 7 reviews of the game. With a big game Thursday night, Collingwood versus Geelong. Matho, what were your thoughts on that game?
Wet weather footy. I think was in a PDT period 4 that day, Jacko, and main man Jono, he goes for the Pies, and he called it. He called it at the end of the class. I asked him, "Who's going to win tonight, Jono?" And he said, "If the goalie finds form and plays well, Collingwood will get up." And I hate to admit it, but he's right. The goalie kicked 5 goals and Collingwood won. So big game.
And last week, in just reading out our predictions, I did say that Pies will win by 22, and that's exactly what happened. So quite the genius when it comes to predicting Collingwood at the moment.
Yeah, you have. You've gotten 2 right on for Collingwood, so you've done well.
Thanks, Horse. Absolutely.
Yeah. Matthew, do you want me to say the votes for that game? Or would you like to say?
I'll go through them, Jacob.
You got them? I was just making sure.
Yeah. All good, mate. So, Jordan De Goey, 3 votes. I think that's pretty easy. A 5-goal haul is never going to go unnoticed. Adam Treloar, how many touches did he have, Jacko?
30-something.
Jeez. He had...
He was big, really good.
Yeah, 34 to be exact, please.
Yeah.
34 touches for the lads.
Thanks, Horse. That's very good. Contributing.
And Darcy Moore, I think he slides in there for 1 vote as well. He had 14 touches, and I think he was a rock down back, and I think he's really stepped it up this season as well, which is good.
Agreed.
Yeah, well, and of course the debate will go on for many years over who's the best defender in the league for Darcy Moore and Harris Andrews. So definitely be a good battle to watch.
Who do you reckon, Jacko?
Oh, Harris Andrews is comfortably a better defender than him. The way he can just intercept the ball. I think Darcy Moore is better in terms of disposing the ball and going forward with it because he's a better kick and I guess probably a bit quicker than Harris Andrews. But Harris Andrews reads the game better than anyone else in the competition in terms of a defender and would take ridiculous amount of intercept marks. So, yeah, I think Harris Andrews is a better defender, but of course, I'd have Darcy Moore as my second best defender in the league currently.
That's fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Horse, what about you? What do you reckon, Moore or Andrews?
Yeah, I think that's a tough one, Jacko. Obviously, like you said, Harris Andrews, very good decision maker. I think that's what tops his game, his ability to pick out blokes, both on the wing, midfield. It's pretty incredible. And for a young kid like him, it's good to see. It's good to see how much potential he has going forward. But yeah, obviously Darcy Moore's kind of in the same position. I think he moves well, takes good pack marks. So it's hard to differentiate between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Nice to see you answer the question, but nice to see you had an opinion with no answer to it. Very smart. Very smart.
No, well, when you've got
who's better? Who would you prefer at Sydney right now? Harris Andrews or Darcy Moore?
Oh, I'm gonna probably have to say Harris Andrews.
Yeah.
Considering, he's got more football in him.
Mm-hmm. Does he?
I reckon he does.
All right. He does.
But yeah, once again, Jacko, you caught me off guard. I don't know. Too hard to decide.
Exactly. It was a tough question, so fair enough. But yeah, of course, definitely will be the 2 best defenders for many years to come in the AFL.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, move on to the Dons Bulldogs game.
Back to reality for the Dons. Very, very disappointing performance from my team. Dogs are very impressive though. They're starting to look quite good this season. Now with Tim English having one of the best performances of an individual player for the year, For me, he was very, very good. Had English with the 3 votes, McRae with 2, and Liberatore was someone who really stood out for me in this game. I mean, most Bulldogs players stood out in this game against Essendon, but I think he played really well and will get the 1 vote.
Yeah.
This game.
Definitely fair enough. Considering how good the Bulldogs were. Bontempelli unlucky, I think, to miss out on a vote.
Yeah, he was very close. Between Libber and Bont. Yeah.
Considering how good he is, Well, that hit out from Tim English and then hit someone up on the lead was,
that was awesome.
One of the plays of the year, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Immaculate.
Great wording. I'll move on to the GWS Brisbane game. And it actually was quite a really good game, but of course, Brisbane were too strong in this game. As I said before, Harris Andrews is dominant. He's the best defender in the league, as I said, in my opinion, which was really good. But I think our midfield, I would say, is the best, as I said a couple of weeks ago, best with Collingwood's midfield. I think those two are the best midfielders in the league. Of course, Brisbane haven't got the names, but I think they just work really well together. Lyons, McCluggage, Neil, Zach Bailey run through a little bit there. Mitchie Robinson when he runs through, they're all really good there. So, I think our midfield was just too strong for GWS, and GWS really, really do be struggling now. Only got the 3 wins for the year so far. But, some troubling times considering that they're only averaging, above just over 35 or so inside 50s a game, and that's really not going to win you many games against strong defences. Of course, they've got one of the best conversion rates. They got Cameron, Finlayson, Himmelberg and stuff like that down there. And, of course, Toby Green when he plays. But the midfielders simply aren't doing enough. They've got the names on paper. They have the Tarantos, Kellys, Whitfields all going through there.
Yeah.
I think Brett Delidio came out in the media and said that they're too all about themselves at GWS.
I think that's exactly right, Matho. Because as I think a couple of people also said, they've all now got their multi-million-dollar deals and just sort of, said, oh, well, I'm getting paid $1 million a year now. We're not going to win the premiership.
Exactly.
I'll just think about my game. How can I get more money here?
And when it goes to shit, they all try and fix it themselves instead of working together.
That's exactly right.
There's a funny thing with GWS actually. I looked at who's the favourites to win it, to win the grand final this year, and they're still chilling at the 6th favourite to win it for this season, which I found a bit odd, being above teams like Geelong and Western Bulldogs and St Kilda, who have all played better this season. So I don't know. Maybe they'll turn their season around, but I don't see them making top 4, maybe late 8. But I just found that pretty interesting, seeing that they're still the 6th favourite to win it this year.
But I guess that's sort of saying why they're 6th favourites, because I think their best footy is better than those teams you mentioned before. The Geelong, the Bulldogs and stuff. Like their best footy can get them to a grand final, like it did last year. But of course, their worst footy, just ain't quite there. But I get the 3 votes to Dane Zorko. He was really good in the first half and got the Brisbane Lions going. 2 votes to Harris Andrews, who's an absolute beast, as I said. Was by far the best player in the first half on the ground. Second half still was good, didn't do anything wrong, but, wouldn't give him the 2 votes. And 1 vote to Caniglio. He was probably the only GWS player I saw that was really trying to go hard and get the ball. He was really impressive. Brisbane are looking good. We'll mention that the Brisbane Lions forwards are now starting to do stuff. Less reliance on Charlie Cameron, which I think was good. Of course, last year it was sort of evident that, if Charlie doesn't kick 3 or so goals, that we're in a bit of trouble to score. But, players like Cam Rayner's now looking to become, I guess, what his potential was. Very similar player to, I think, how Christian Petrarca sort of, his footy career, and how at the start, high draft pick, sort of a forward who could go into the midfield. But now obviously you see Petrarca is, probably top 10 player in the AFL currently. So Rayner, a couple of years' time, I think he will be an absolute beast. Yeah, Brisbane do looking good.
Just quietly, Jacko.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
I was looking at the stats, and I didn't actually know Grant Birchall still played.
Yeah, Grant Birchall was very impressive.
He's racked up the 18 disposals, and I thought he was retired. But clearly I don't know anything about Brisbane.
No.
That's how irrelevant they are, Horse. That's how irrelevant they are.
Sorry, I was just quite surprised about that one. But anyway, keep going.
That's fair enough, considering, of course, you don't get much media about Brisbane down in Melbourne. Of course, it's all about the Melbourne teams down here. But yeah, Grant Birchall is still playing. We got in on a free agency from Hawthorn to replace Lukey Hodge, who's sort of doing half media role, half coaching role this year. Grant Birchall, I will admit, the good thing you brought him up for because he was very impressive off that half back line.
Yeah, he was.
He was. His kicking is what we really miss now. Of course, now we have Daniel Rich and Grant Birchall to be able to kick out of that back line, which really, really helps us. I don't think he's as good as a defender as Hodgie was for us, but in terms of ball use, he's really helping us out. Yeah,
good to see the legs are still kicking on him.
Yeah, I think it will be his last year of footy, but because he had a little bit of an injury, I guess, to start the year. But he's running all right, but you never know how long he will go for. But yeah, definitely a good player. Matho, you want to take us through Sydney Suns game?
The Sydney versus Gold Coast game. Horse, do you want to go through it, bud? Because you're a Sydney man yourself.
Yeah, I will. Well, for me, there's no team that has earned a primetime slot in 2020 more than the Suns. I think
really?
Their ability to move the ball and continue to play fast-flying footy is really impressive. There's a huge pickup with Greenwood, who had an absolute ball on a string with 23 disposals, 12 tackles, 9 clearances.
Yeah, VK, you love the 12 tackles.
He's apart from Paddy Ryder, he's my second favorite player in the AFL, other than Essendon players. Apart from Paddy Ryder,
that's fair enough.
Yeah, but also with the help of obviously Swallow with 22, and I think the man that the public's been talking about, Isaac Rankin. I mean, that guy is an absolute freak. He's got so many tricks up his sleeves, and I think everyone's looking forward to what the future holds for him.
Definitely.
Yeah, but I guess from a Sydney perspective, I thought our performance was a bit better than last week against Richmond. We had 9 players who were under 21 years of age playing that day, so I think it was a big credit to those boys. I was absolutely buzzing when Aaliyah was playing forward. Because
big game, Aaliyah had a very big
game. Got to see his full potential when he kicked 2 absolute beauties. Probably the 2 marks that he got paid. He did nudge the bloke in the back, but we'll move on from that. Exactly. So, but no, I mean, obviously, there's always going to be problems when you don't have a tall forward line like Sydney. The forward entries, I guess, for us need a lift if we're going to have any chance of winning games. So, yeah, I mean, there's positives and also negatives. But, yeah, that's how I thought the game went, boys.
Fair enough. And Horse, also with Aaliyah, did you know there was only 2 players on the field that went 100% disposal efficiency? Aaliyah was one of them.
I did not know that, Jacko.
Yeah, exactly.
Superstar Horse.
Very impressive game from Aaliyah.
Very impressive.
Absolute beast.
He deserves it.
He deserves it. I do like Aaliyah. Just shaky down back, but, down forward, you never know. He could be your next Buddy Franklin.
Exactly. And he's out here kicking 2 goals. So who needs Lance Franklin when you got Aaliyah?
Exactly.
That's the way.
Exactly right. Rafa, you want to tell us the votes for this game?
Yeah, so, I mean, 3 votes easily goes to Hugh Greenwood. 23 touches, 12 tackles. I think it was huge. He's been big for Gold Coast all season, I think.
Yep.
Lukey Parker, 27 touches and 8 tackles. I think he was also very good for Sydney in the losing side. 7 clearances as well, so that was something big as well. And Jared Witch in the ruck, 36 hit-outs and 14 touches. I think he goes a little bit unnoticed, Jared Witch. I think if you've got him on the bench for Supercoach or something, it wouldn't be a bad idea just to put him in when they're playing not such a strong ruckman. I think he'd he'd have a bit of a field day. But there you go, Jacko. There's your 3 votes.
That's definitely fair enough. VK, you'll move on to, I guess, probably the worst game of the round in Richmond versus North.
It was a roughie. I said Richmond would find some great form. That's exactly what they did. They're starting to look really good now, and they are the second favourites to win it. All of a sudden, they really come out of nowhere. Richmond, they're a bit like West Coast this season. Just out of nowhere, you see them popping up and doing well on the ladder. North are just... What do you say about North?
North and
they
North,
are
I think.
They are so bad. I'm sorry. They're without Cunnington are nothing.
That is true.
Like nothing. Ben Brown's doing nothing this season. They're wanting to get rid of him. And I just want to ask the question: what do you guys think of the Ben Brown situation?
Yeah, so I definitely got to think about that, and I wrote down 6 possible teams I think that Ben Brown could head to in terms of what these clubs need, and if I think they'd have a salary cap. So of course, a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, yeah, he's going to go to Collingwood," but I just don't see Collingwood having the salary cap for him, considering that. There's already been rumours that they're going to have to get rid of, a Darcy Moore or a De Goey or a Trelaw or someone like that to make room for their current wages. So I don't think he'll be able to go to there. But I've gone Adelaide, Essendon, Fremantle, Geelong, if Ablett and Taylor retire at the end of this year. I think they have the salary cap. Hawthorn and Sydney. So I think those are the 6 teams that we could see Ben Moran going to.
I want him.
Exactly. Considering if
I do want him.
I do.
Danaher leaves.
Yeah, Danaher will leave, and that will give up a really nice amount of salary cap for Eston to bring in Ben Brown. And he hasn't had a great year, but still, one of the best key forwards on his day. Yeah. And if he can find that consistency, he's definitely one of the best players.
I think it's also a bit of the forward line around him. Watching the games and stuff, I think. It's hard for him to get into rhythm when no one's really helping him. Like he's a key forward that sits in the goal square, and I think defenders are starting to work that out, that he can really only lead. And when they hit him on the target, when he's leading, I think it's pretty good. And the defenders have figured out just put defenders in front of him, and he can't really lead. So I think it's also a coaching side of it that's kind of hurting his consistency. He's still getting 1 or 2 goals a game, which isn't terrible. He should be much more consistent, obviously. But I think North Melbourne have a big decision to make, whether they get rid of him and start fresh for a key forward, or if they try and fix what's around him. Because like you said, Jacko, he is one of the best key forwards in the game, and I think it's just the defenders and forwards around him that need to help him.
Yeah, definitely. Be interesting. I think they'd definitely get a first-round pick for him, and I'm sure some other picks and players will ever go into it. But I think he'd be a player who definitely needs a strong midfield to get the ball down to him. Of course, if they can hit him lace out on the chest. So, the team like Eston and Geelong and even Hawthorn with their midfield capabilities, I think it'd work really well there to have, really good kicks hitting him up. I don't think he'd go to Adelaide unless they offer him, close to $1 million. Which I wouldn't be surprised with Adelaide. Would not be surprised. I'm sure they've got a lot of salaries cap, considering that Brad Crouch likely to leave on a free agency at the end of this year. Maybe Matt Crouch as well, but I think Brad's, more likely to leave. But
they're also paying Andy Betts his wages. He's the leading goal kicker on there. He's their leading goal kicker on their payroll, which is a good thing.
Exactly right. I think Eddie will probably end up playing again next year. You think, Matho?
I hope so. I think, especially for Jack Martin as well down there, he's been a really good mentor, especially for the other Aboriginal players. And not just the Aboriginal players, but I think just everyone. Having Eddie back around the club, just a smiling face and that calibre of a player, I think he's very, very good for the club.
Yeah, I was, when sort of Eddie moved back to Carlton, I was like, oh yeah, whatever. He'll, kick one goal every couple of games, but he's hopeless now. But he's been a lot more impressive than I thought he was going to be. So I've been surprised by his outputs. And still showing that he's still got it at that age. Yeah, VK, you want to tell us your votes for the Richmond North game?
Definitely 3 votes for Higgins. He was outstanding in a losing team. 2 votes to, I don't really know how to pronounce his name. I'm just going to go with Smith.
Egg guy, Egglish.
Yeah, Egg Molly or something.
Yeah, he was good.
He was very impressive. And so was Shy Bolton. I really, really, really like Bolton. I think he's
trying.
I think he's an absolute gun, and he's just going to continue to improve under that system.
Definitely. I think Shy Bolton really benefits from having, Koch and Prestia, Hooley, Edwards all out. So, definitely a good player and one for the future. Matho, on to, I'd probably say game of the round in Carlton Port Adelaide.
I don't think this game was played, Jack. I think it was postponed.
Postponed, was it?
Yeah, it was postponed, wasn't it?
Robbie Gray got scratched and he couldn't play, so they just postponed it.
Sore leg, was it?
Yeah, I think something like that. I think he just,
Mm-hmm.
No, very, very stiff for the Blue Boys. But to be completely honest, Port Adelaide were the better side all day. If Charlie Dixon could kick straight, he kicked 4 behinds. If he could kick straight, I think it would have been a 20 to 30 point loss. But we can't count your losses, so I think it's a good thing that he missed all of them and kept us in the game. I think some of Carlton's decision making though is what cost us again. That last 2 minutes of the game, just kicking, we could have kicked it around for another minute or so and not forced the turnover going long down the line and
definitely
just maintain possession. But I think Robbie Gray's goal after the siren, you can't deny that it was a sensational kick.
Yeah, it's a good finish.
But it does hurt. It's top of the table side, and the Blue Boys almost had him covered. Onto the votes though. Charlie Dixon, 3 goals. I think he was huge for.
Yeah, pretty much every time the ball went down there.
Yeah, exactly. He was there. I honestly don't know why David Teague didn't change Liam Jones with Jacob Wiedering at halftime. He persisted with Liam Jones, and I think it costed us in the end because he was getting torn a new one all day. 2 votes to Tom Jonas. I think he was a big play for him. 20 touches, a few tackles. He's really stepped it up this year.
Yeah, he's really having a good year, isn't he?
He's not a bad shout for your Supercoach team. And the last vote, I've gone with Sam Walsh here, Jacko.
Have you?
Sam Walsh, he got 16 touches, 2 goals, and that mark running back with a flight, I think, deserved the vote itself.
Yeah,
that was
100%.
That shows real courage, and I think he kind of silenced his critics again this week. He's trying to fit into a new midfield. Well, not necessarily a new midfield, but the roles have changed down at Carlton. I think Cripper's playing a different role as well, and also trying to get used to the tag. But Sam Walsh has kind of stepped it up again this week from his slow start to the season with 16 touches, 2 goals, and I think a very good day for him.
Yeah, definitely. I sort of was saying in previous podcasts, I think Connor Rosie is a better player than him. May not say that anymore. I think Sam Walsh is an absolute beast now. I think Connor Rosie hasn't got the consistency. I think maybe Connor Rosie's best is better than Walsh's best, but Walsh has that consistency at the moment, which is really helping the Carlton. Sorry. Yeah. Moving on to probably the second worst game of the week with Hawthorn Melbourne. Hawthorn just really poor. They've been poor for 3 or 4 weeks now. Just shocking how bad they are lately. But good thing to say, the Friars boy, we talked about them before, but the Friars boy right now, Christian Petrarca, is an absolute monster. That's all you can say right now. He breaks tackles like he's Dusty Martin now, I think he's probably better at breaking tackles than Dusty Martin, just because I think he's got a bigger body than Dusty. Petrarca is absolutely monstering for them. I'd love to have him on the podcast. Would be awesome to have him on the podcast, actually. But
absolutely.
Yeah, he was by far the best player on the grid. Well, probably not by far, because the bloke at number 2 was not bad at all. But we're doing Petrarca the 3 votes. 2 votes. Okay, Matha, yeah?
I think he's definitely Smokey from the Brownlow. I know Lachie Neale is basically a lock at this stage of the game, at this stage of the season, but Petrarca keeps up this form, I wouldn't
be surprised.
put it past him pinching a few votes.
Definitely. Well, currently, in terms of the JLJ voting, JLJ Brownlow, he is sitting at 9 votes. Lockie Neal currently on 14. So, he definitely could catch up. Lockie Neal gets injured, you never know. But, hopefully next week we'll be able to give you, I guess, probably maybe our top 5 of what the Brownlow or the JLJ Brownlow is currently looking like. Yeah. So, 3 votes to Christian Petrarca, absolute beast. 2 votes to Max Gawn, who this season has been the best ruckman in the league. Been a lot better than Grundy. He's marking down in Melbourne's back line along the wing, just really halted Hawthorn's ball movement and, his tap work as well against a decent ruckman in Ben McAvoy as well. He's not, he's no Zach Clark, but, he's a decent player. Benny McAvoy. It's also good to see. We have talked badly about this man in previous podcasts, but ever since we spoke about him, he has turned it on. Sammy Wiedemann, another Friars boy.
He's been really good. He's been really
very impressive against Hawthorn. Considering how strong some of Hawthorn's tour defenders are, Sammy Wiedemann had a really good game. We won't mention that 2 of his 3 goals came from the goal square with no one on him.
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
A goal's a goal, Jacko.
Exactly. You've got to be there to score them.
You do.
That's what I always say. So, Sammy Wiedemann, very good player. I wouldn't have given him the 1 vote, though. I would have loved to give him 1, but unfortunately, I had to give it to Clayton Oliver, who is just dominant through that midfield as well with Petrarca.
It's a good midfield.
The midfield is looking very strong. We said that a couple of weeks ago. Petrarca, Oliver, Brayshaw, Viney, all playing really good through the midfield with Gawn tapping it down to them.
Great midfield.
Yeah, so Melbourne definitely could be one to have a look at in the future. If they keep playing some strong footy like they currently are. Good to see Harley Bennell out there, adding some dynamic stuff into their forward line. So, it's been quite good for them.
Yep, absolutely.
We'll move Freo West Coast game, VK, of the Derby.
So Freo just didn't look very good, did they? I thought, I actually predicted it to be game of the round, and that didn't really work out for me. West Coast now starting to look dangerous. Definitely not the best. Nowhere near the best. West Coast now starting to look dangerous for me, and I'm still sticking with my prediction that I said before the season that they'd win the premiership. And so I reckon I'd give the 3 votes to Kennedy, who had a brilliant performance up forward. A bit like Charlie Dixon's performance. I would say if on their day this season, I'd go with Dixon, Kennedy, and Lynch as my 3 forwards that I'd pick.
All right.
And then Gaff 2 votes and Shepherd for the 1. Shepherd was good.
Yeah, Shepherd's putting up a really good year. I forgot to mention him at the start when we were talking about Maynard and stuff as sort of the small defender.
Yeah.
I think Brad Shepherd might actually be the best defender out of a lot of them. But of course,
one-on-one defender.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, Maynard, Doherty and stuff, Sard, so good at bringing the ball back out. Then again, saying that, Brad Shepherd, we talked about Aaliyah going at 100%. Aaliyah only had the 7 touches. Brad Shepherd had 23 touches going at 100% accuracy.
That's impressive.
16 of them were kicks as well. So, very impressive by them. So how much was his meters gain, actually? That would be interesting to see if he actually kicked the ball long. Let's have a look. Meters gain, 311. So, to go that far with 100% efficiency, very good by Brad Shepherd, an absolute beast small defender in the competition.
Absolutely.
So I guess we got our final game of the round, which wasn't a bad game at all, if I'm being honest. I think the crowd was really good down at Adelaide Oval, considering how poor Adelaide have been. The crowd was really in it and almost got them over the line in the end. The free kick count was, I guess, very controversial for a lot of people after the game. As Adelaide had 29 free kicks to 19. And they did come out, the head of umpires did come out and apologise to the St Kilda Football Club the day after, saying that they did get a couple of decisions wrong. And I think that just goes to show that how much, the crowd's impact has on umpires' decision. Because I thought the umpiring has been quite good for, I guess, the first half of the season, considering there's been no crowds and stuff to influence their decision. But of course, it's always why, the Adelaide and the West Coast and Fremantle stuff, all their home ground advantage and stuff, they always seem to have more free kicks just because of, I guess, their fans. But yeah, St Kilda were definitely the better team. Not for all of it though. Adelaide definitely had their chances during that third quarter and early in that fourth quarter to, I guess, get them back on track. We're looking at the 3 votes to Jack Steele, and he's putting up a really, really impressive year currently. Sort of started out as a tagger in some of the early games while also getting the ball, but now just getting the ball and absolutely monstering for them at the moment. I think he's 26 touches and a goal. Give him the 2 votes to Tom Doherty. Is that how you spell his name?
Doherty,
yeah, exactly. So I said all right. He had a really good game as well for Adelaide. The 18 touches going at 94% across that back line, taking a lot of intercept marks. And one to Jade Gresham, who's I guess similar to Doherty in terms of his marking ability and stuff, and sort of his presence that he brought to the game. Had his 18 touches, kicked a goal as well. 6 of them being kicks as well, so sort of always got the ball moving forward. I thought he deserved the 1 vote. So, Matho.
What about our man, Dan the Man Butler?
Dan the Man Butler.
Great game.
Oh, I completely forgot to say it. I did predict Dan Butler to kick 3, and what did he do? Dan Butler kicked 3.
Kicks 3. Beautiful.
He's putting up a seriously impressive year. Ever since being on this podcast, he has gone to being one of the best small forwards in the competition. Currently sitting 5th in the goal kicking. So you never know. He could go on and win it. And I think he owes us a big thank you.
I don't think so.
You never know. If you never come on this podcast, you never know.
Sure, that's a good point.
You just never know. Yeah, Dan the Man Butler was impressive, as he always is. Bringing that speed into the St Kilda forward line, which I think they really liked last year. So, good to see they're starting to get in some form. Of course, they were VK Smoky to make the top 8 this year. It's looking quite good at the moment, considering where they're sitting 6th on 16 points. So, I would be surprised if they didn't make the top 8. I think they'll finish 7th or 8th. So, yeah. Matthew, would you like to take us to the big JLJ multi?
Of course, Jacko. Of course. Now, we have to apologise to everyone. The $1.2 million multi didn't get up last week.
That's disappointing. It really is. It almost did as well. Stephen, he had that disposal, just didn't kick any.
Exactly, and that we needed 3 from the lads, so that was a hard thing to see. But you know what? We move on and we keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So this week it's can't guarantee that it's as big as 1.2 million.
No, I guess lower odds, higher possibility of it getting up. So
exactly. So I think if you I'd be putting $1,000 on this. I think it's a lock.
Okay. Do not listen to anything this guy says. Do not put $1,000, and we're not responsible if you lose $1,000 on this JLJ.
Just chuck $1.
Chuck $1 on it. That's what we always say.
Seriously, you never know. And shout out to Sportsbet, our major sponsor.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Just quickly, all right? Chuck the power play on it. $8,162.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good to me.
All right? So it's quite a lengthy process. It's 14 leagues, Jacko. 14 leagues.
It's a guarantee to get up.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be waiting until the Monday game at this stage for it to get up. It's lengthy. But here we go. So the Gold Coast Western Bulldogs game, we'll start her off.
Mm-hmm.
We need VK's man, Took Miller.
Oh, yeah.
To get 20 or more touches.
Oh, I think we'll do that, yeah.
The ladies' man, Bailey Smith, to get 20 or more touches.
Yep.
Definitely can do it.
And the man of the moment, Isaac Rankin, anytime goal scorer.
Yeah, that's good.
Easily. That's good. I'll put money on that. I reckon that's going to get up. It's a good start.
There you go. Then on to the North Melbourne Carlton game.
Mm-hmm.
My main man, Patrick Cripps. He got 21 touches last week. He was highest disposal getter on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets 20 or more touches each week, and he kicks a goal.
Yeah, he's averaging a goal a game currently, so Definitely could do
There you go. And Levi Casbolt to kick 2 or more.
Oh dear.
Well, considering, I guess North Melbourne defence at the moment, they did chuck Joshy Walker up forward. Bit of a beast down there.
He's a huge unit.
He is a big unit. I was disappointed when Brisbane got rid of him. I thought he was a decent player, but obviously not. But yeah, so I guess that's one less key defender he has to deal with. Robbie Tarrant, of course, as our first ever guest, Jed Hansen said, he believes he's one of the probably top 3 best defender in the league. So has to deal with him. But of course, Robbie Tarrant never seems to take the best player anyway. That's why I don't think he is top 3 defender. But yeah, definitely could get 2 more goals, Casbolt.
Yep. Then on to the St Kilda Port Adelaide game.
Mm-hmm.
I think every week, out of respect for being the first big name player on the podcast, we need to have Dan Butler in the multi.
I think we do.
Agree.
Yeah.
That's what has to happen.
Dan Butler to kick 2 or more goals.
Mm-hmm. Definitely can happen.
And he's up there with one of the key forwards right now, Charlie Dixon, to also get 2 or more goals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that's both definitely
Back
happening.
him in.
And there you go. And then onto the West Coast Collingwood game. Now, this is where it could get costly. I know it's being played in Optus, but West Coast to win.
Definitely can happen.
And I know a few of our 18-plus listeners had Liam Ryan in their multis to kick a goal.
Yeah,
and he let them down.
He did.
But this week, he's going to kick one. Anytime goal scorer, Liam Ryan. So that's the West Coast Collingwood game.
Oh, that's definitely gettable. Not bad at all.
Then the Fremantle Geelong game. Michael Walters to get 20 or more touches.
Yeah, it's only averaging 20. I reckon he'll be able to do that.
And Michael Walters to be an anytime goal scorer.
Averaging goal. So that's not a bad multi at all. I'm being honest. Considering
we've still got 2 legs, Jacko.
Still got 2 legs. Well, so far it's quite good. We got to the bottom of the game, so I assumed it was over. So you haven't done it in order, obviously.
Yeah, no, I have stuff up the order here actually.
Yeah, okay, that's why. That's why I just assumed it was done.
I just remembered as I was going through this, the big guest, Horsey, the Sydney game has to be included. And of course, Horsey's main man, Alira. Anytime goal scorer, Alira.
I back him in. I back him in, Matho.
Well,
Absolutely.
And it doesn't finish there. Tom Papley to kick 3 or more goals.
Oh.
I think it can happen, considering how poor
Doable.
Hawthorn's small defenders are. Of course, do you remember when what's his name kicked 6 on them? Was it Ronke? Yeah, Ronk. Yeah, Ronk kicked 6 on them a couple of years ago as a small defender. So, a small forward. Papley, small forward. Definitely can happen. Considering you'll probably end up having Blake Hardwick on him, who isn't, a bad player, but, isn't a superstar defender. So, definitely can happen for Papley.
Well, there you go, Jacko.
Is that the multi? There we go. So, what, for $6,000 you said?
$8,000.
$8,000. Okay. So that's not bad at all, If you take out that Levi Cadbolt one, maybe change it to, an Eddie Betts or, maybe a Mackay's playing well.
What about Gibbons? Chuck him in.
Oh, Gibbons? Horsey reckons Gibbons. So,
easily.
Shut that off. That is not bad odds at all. So head down to sportsbet.com.au right now to get that JLJ multi. Make sure you gamble responsibly, of course. Don't put your $1,000 on those, Matho said. As me and Josh say, $1 never hurt anyone. So,
Never.
Always just chuck your $1 on. No need to go more than that. So, yeah. But it was very good.
Make sure you're 18 plus as well.
Make sure you're 18 plus as well. That's definitely a smart one. Well, you can't do it anyway if you're not 18 plus.
Exactly, Jacko.
You couldn't do it anyway. So, let's move on to previewing our round 8 games. Of course, the fixtures for, the later weeks came out, and that's, very exciting to see how much footy we're going to have to be played. I think it's going to be interesting how we're going to get the podcasts for those games, considering, a lot of games on Wednesdays.
You're going to have to jump on
the... tough.
It could be a daily podcast. If we just all drop out of school right now, daily podcast, here we go.
Gonna have to pass on that one, Lois.
Or lunchtime at school, we head into the library, one of the rooms, and
I'm not missing lunchtime soccer.
Matho, no, you can't miss lunchtime soccer.
This could be our last week of school ever.
We go in at recess.
Sure.
Just a quick 15-minute potty at recess.
Could go in after school. You never know. Go in before school.
Before school's a shout.
Before school's a good shout.
And who knows? We might be able to get a special guest into the room.
Very nice.
I suppose all the AFL players and A-League players are currently outside of the state.
Yeah,
but
you never know. In the future, we could have them back in Melbourne.
Exactly, Jacko.
Yeah, previewing the games. Horsey did say that if one team deserved the primetime game, it was Gold Coast, and they got what you wanted, Horse, on the Thursday night.
They did indeed.
With the Gold Coast versus Bulldogs. It's definitely going to be a tough one to predict, but I've got the Dogs by 24 points, considering how good they were last week against the Dons. For my big call, I've got Max King and Josh Bruce to combine for 6 goals. So I think it's just going to be, game of the tools this week. So, yeah, that's my prediction. Well, you guys thought who's winning?
Dogs by 9 for me.
Yeah, I reckon
it's gonna be a good game.
Dogs. I reckon the Dogs will get up. Not sure.
I'm going to go with Gold Coast by 4 points.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I think. I think they're like I said, they've played real well against Sydney. They've got heaps of potential and looking like they're just going up and getting better each game. So I reckon they might be able to scrape over the line this week.
Horse on the Gold Coast bandwagon. Here we go. Nice to hear.
Yeah, we're just supporting the boys. They've gone through a rough time in the last couple of years, so I think it's good to see them coming out a bit and giving it a real hot crack.
Fair enough. VK, GWS Richmond.
I'm quite excited for this game, to be honest. See if GWS can bounce back. I think it'll be close-ish, like 10-15 points up to three-quarter time, and then Tigers will push away in the last quarter. I have Tigers by 28, and my big prediction, my main man Jace to kick 4 goals. He's gonna kick straight this week. He's gonna kick him on target. I'm telling you, 4 goals. Tigers win by 28.
VK, have you watched a Richmond game in the last 3 weeks?
Yeah.
No, I'm not asking you a question. Have you watched in the last 3 weeks?
I watched last week for a bit.
For a bit. And would you notice that Jason Castagna goes nowhere near the forward line anymore?
Yeah, but he's playing well.
And he's playing well on the wings. So he's in good form in terms of kicking the ball, but not kicking the goals.
I reckon he's still going to do it.
All right, that's fair enough. Here to hear from JVK.
Absolutely.
I've got Richmond by 4 points. I think it'll be a close game, considering what's going on, considering GWS poor form. Richmond good form, but with a couple of injuries, so we'll be close. I got Richmond by 4.
Fair enough.
Matho, Horse?
I reckon it's going to be interesting, considering there's a lot of unfamiliar faces, obviously, with the loss of, Cochin and a lot of the midfield for Richmond. So it's going to be a big challenge for the young guns in the midfield for Richmond against, Caniglio and all those superstars for GWS. But I think that Richmond, will get over the line with a 7-point win.
All right. Matho?
I reckon GWS will get it up by 13 points.
You are a GWS man, aren't you, Matho? Do you enjoy GWS?
I don't mind them. I think Stephen Caniglio sending me the video for my lasagna. Good lad there. So always just respect him. And one of my favourite players in the AFL, Toby Green. Love him.
And you do have a GWS cop as well, don't you, Matho?
I do, Jacko. You got me that. Thanks, mate.
All the way from Bali. It isn't exactly scented in terms of the logo, but you know what? For $10, it was a bargain.
And you know what? Dan Butler posing once he got signed for St Kilda, he did have a Bali top on. So you know what?
That's true. It would have been a Bali top.
It doesn't matter. Unless
he took St Kilda one with him on the plane, which unlikely, but you never know. It could have happened. But yeah, I guess you got to respect the Barley Tops. Matho, the North Carlton game.
Well, it's not every day that you see Carlton going into a game as favourites. I'm looking here; they're $1.50 compared to North Melbourne $2.60. I think I'll obviously back the Blues. I don't never normally tip against them unless it's against the likes of Collingwood or West Coast or something like that. To just have faith in my boys. But North Melbourne are probably the most inconsistent side in the AFL at the moment. So I think the big test will be that Carlton don't kind of fall into that trap of big heads that, look, we took it up against the league-leading side last week. We can kind of lay back a little bit. So I hope that we don't go in like that. But yeah, you never know. I hope they just turn it up like turned up the last few weeks. I'm going Carlton by about 20 points, and my big prediction: Sam Walsh to go again and get 20 plus touches and 2 goals again.
That's fair enough. I reckon Blues are going to smash them. 34 points for me from Carlton.
Yeah, I'm going Carlton by 26 points.
Yeah, I would. I'm going to go Carlton by 28.
Fair enough.
The Sydney Hawthorn game. I'm saying worst game of the round, considering how bad these two clubs are at the moment. But I'm going Hawthorn by 3 points just. I think it'll be a very low-scoring game. I think it's a hard one to predict, considering how poor both teams are. Wouldn't be surprised if Sydney won, considering Sydney weren't too bad last week. But, I think Hawthorn best footies are much better than Sydney's best footy. But yeah, Hawthorn by 3 points. So Matho's JLJ multi, Tom Papley, how many going to kick, Matho? 3 goals in the multi?
3 or more.
3 or more. My big call is for Tom Papley to kick 4 goals. So that's why I was around the multi. So I think Tom Papley is going to have a big game. As I said, Hawthorn's small defenders are definitely the problem area in the defence, because their tall forwards are definitely respectable. But yeah, I think Papley kicks 4, but Hawthorn by 3 points.
I reckon Swans are going to get up horse. I got Swannies by a couple of goals.
Couple? Yeah, I'm thinking Swannies by, I'm going to say 10 points. I think, like you said, Jacko, they're both struggling, but I reckon Sydney, I think, have found a little bit more form and shape compared to Hawthorn. So hopefully we can pull through on, I don't know when it is. So I think Saturday.
Yeah, I think Saturday. Saturday night. Or Arvo. No, so I think Saturday Arvo.
So yeah, Saturday Arvo, yeah.
Yeah. Matho, Port St Kilda.
Port St Kilda. Just quickly though, Jack, I think Sydney will get up.
Oh, sorry. You forgot you to say it. Yeah, Sydney gets up. So I'm the only one saying Hawthorn gets up. It's fair enough.
Yeah, well, that's because you love Alistair Clarkson, even though he's possibly the biggest flog in the AFL.
Definitely. Yeah, move on to Port St Kilda.
No reaction there, Jack. I like it.
I'm just, we're keeping our content PG as looking to bring in some new sponsors to the JLJ podcast, so we can't say anything inappropriate.
Good on you.
I like that,
but I think the Port St Kilda game, I think this might be one of the games of the rounds. They are 2 irrelevant clubs, but there are 2 clubs that are in very good form at the moment. Adelaide Oval. St Kilda have to travel back to Adelaide Oval, even though they've just left. So I think the travel times will cost them, but I'm back in Port Adelaide by, 10 points, we'll say. It'll be a close game. And my big prediction is Charlie Dixon and Dan Butler to combine for 5 or more goals.
I definitely think that's
fair enough.
Considering you got on for 2 weeks, so in the multi, I guess unless one of them kicks all 5, but I can definitely get up. And I'm saying Port by 14, so it'll be a close game, but yeah, Port's going to win it.
I reckon I'm going to back my boys, well, not my boys, but the team I thought were going to be really good this year, the Saints. I reckon they're going to win by 17 points. I reckon Saints getting up. Port are the best team in the AFL right now, on form, obviously, with the ladder, but I just still something about them I just can't just see them being. Yeah, I just can't see them being that powerhouse team for the whole season. I reckon the Saints are going to beat them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right with saying that.
For mine, I think, I think Power I'm gonna beat them by 18 points. I think it's going to come down to experience in the end with the boys like Robbie Gray and obviously Charlie Dixon. So I reckon, Port by 18.
Mm-hmm. VK, Crows, Dons.
See, the Dons, I do think will win by around 29 points, but there's just this small thought in the back of my head that's like, it'd be the biggest Essendon thing to give Crows their first win this season. It just would be. It would go along with the theme of Essendon's troubles over the past 15 years.
Adelaide Oval as well.
Yeah, I'm quite scared for it, to be honest. I think we're going to win, but there's always that chance with Essendon that anything can happen. It's the big prediction. I think I've made this prediction probably 4 or 5 times this season, but Hooker is going forward and he's kicking 4 goals. Mm-hmm. So it's just the same prediction every week.
So
it's getting old now, VK.
Yeah, nice to bring some originality to the content.
No, but eventually it's going to happen.
Have you even kicked a goal this year?
Probably not. Probably like one.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll have a look right now. Carl Hooker has currently kicked 1 goal this year.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to kick 4 this week, though. He's going to kick 4 this week, though.
Fair enough. If he kicks 4, then, the Dons have a big game. I'm saying Dons by 37 points. So I think it's a big comfortable win for them.
I'm going Adelaide.
Oh.
I reckon at Adelaide Oval, I think this is going to be the turning point. I reckon they're not going to rock up and give it a half-hearted go. I think they'll recognise that they've got a chance and give it their all. I think Taylor Walker was pretty good for them.
Yeah, it wasn't bad
last week. The Crouch brothers were good. And a few of the other players running around were doing all right. So I reckon if they continue that form, I reckon, like VK said, it'll be an excellent thing to do to give them their first win of the season.
Definitely fair enough. Now, Horse, no data you said.
No, I haven't. I reckon Bombers by 22, lads.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair enough.
No, Matho, moving on to, I would say, game of the round. Or maybe, probably use game of the round, I'd say.
West Coast Collingwood. The big grand final replay from 2
years ago, yeah.
So, it's a good game. It's always a good game between these two now, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Just huge.
You know you're going to get a lot, that's for sure.
Exactly, Horsey, exactly. Wise words from Horsey.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mr. Johnson is correct again, though, that if Jordan De Goey... Oh, wait, he's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not like he stuffed his finger for 2 months.
Well...
So does that mean West Coast are going to win, Matho? No De Goey, no Collingwood?
No De Goey, no Collingwood. I reckon I was leaning towards West Coast anyway, but if De Goey showed up again, it would have been a very, very close game. But now with no De Goey, I don't think Collingwood will be able to beat the high-flying Eagles at the moment. I think they're in good form as well.
I definitely agree with that. I have West Coast by 16.
16.
Yeah.
I'm going...
My big prediction, though.
Yeah, true. Josh just screwed his big prediction.
Liam Ryan to come back from nowhere and kick 3 or more and take an absolute horrific mark.
3 or more in a pre-Sean Collingwood defence. Could happen. Don't know if it will happen. It could happen.
I love the ambition.
He's going to kick 1, of course. We know he's going to kick 1 in our multi.
Exactly.
I guess it'd be interesting to see who'd end up taking. Maybe Quaynor or maybe even Maynard. So, you never know. Yeah, you used to have to score 3 cheapies, don't you?
Exactly. At the back of the pack, or who knows?
Exactly. A couple of cheap free kicks.
Yep.
Exactly. See how Tom Hawkins gets half his goals. But I'm going Collingwood by 8 points. I think very surprising that Collingwood at $2.20. So, yeah, I'm going Collingwood by 8 points. I think they'll be too good for them.
For my prediction, I reckon also Collingwood, Jacko.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon I mean, without De Goey, he did kick he did kick half their goals from last week. I feel like there's a big boost when they play West Coast. I think after losing that granny in 2018, they want to get their revenge, and I think their intensity always builds when they play West Coast. So I feel like it's going to be a 6-point win by the Pies.
Definitely, all right.
That's fair enough.
I guess we move on to another what could be a very close game. Melbourne versus Brisbane. Considering both teams have really good wins, with Melbourne obviously dominating Hawthorn and Brisbane beating a strong GWS side. I've got Brisbane by 16 points though. I think just our class of our forward line will be able to beat the Melbourne team. But I've got, in my big call, I've got Max Scorn having 40 hit-outs this game.
Yeah.
I think he's going to absolutely dominate us, considering how poor Steph Martin has been this year. And the Big O's the Big O, you know. He does his job, you know.
He's not a ruckman. Like, he's not really like a... He's more of a forward, I reckon.
No, he's a secondary ruckman who plays a bit of forward. But yeah, I think Gorn will have 40 hit-outs, and I think he may end up picking up the 3 votes in a losing Melbourne side.
That's fair enough. I reckon a big upset. Well, I reckon D's are going to win by a point.
1 point.
I reckon it's going to be an incredible matchup. A battle of 2 great midfields, and I think D's are going to get up by a point in this one. Absolutely.
Horse?
For me it's got to be Lions by I reckon 13. I feel like they're just more consistent. I feel like you never know what you're going to get with Melbourne sometimes.
Yeah,
they come up to games feeling confident, ready to go like they did against Hawthorn, but then they sometimes show up and slack off a bit. So I feel like Lions will get the better of them this week.
Matho?
Yeah, I'm back in Brisbane as well in a comfortable victory, I reckon.
It's also good for Brisbane considering they are back in Queensland. Of course, it is at Metricon Stadium because it's Melbourne home's game, but I guess good for the Brisbane players to be able to get back home, back to a bit more reality for them. So I think that also gives them a bit of an edge. But VK for the final game of the round, Fremantle Geelong.
It's going to be probably an absolute smashing or a comfortable victory by Geelong. I reckon they'll win by around 33 points. And my big prediction, we're gonna stick with the Stephen on the JLJ. And
he'll be lucky to keep his spot.
He's going to kick 3.
God,
I'm telling you.
Have you got a big call right yet this year, VK?
Yeah, probably.
The draw.
No, the draw was
not a big call.
No, his draw was the result, so that technically wasn't his big call.
Give me a second.
That's a huge call.
4 against Sydney. Oh, the big call, big pretty was the draw. That was my big prediction.
Yeah, that was his prediction.
Right.
Took Miller to get suspended. Didn't happen. Let me look at... Oh, didn't even do this one. Cunnington to get 12, no. Bruce to kick 5, that didn't happen. So kind of struggling in the prediction, except for that one.
VK's in struggle street for his big predictions.
Oh, I still reckon my season predictions is going to go well.
I think your season predictions are going all right. Yeah, I will admit.
I reckon West Coast is still going to win the premiership for me, but we'll see.
So I was saying Geelong by 35.
For me, I reckon Cats by about 26, and I feel like big Asava Radigali is going to have a big game. And he,
I hope you do, Horse.
I hope no, but he's just his presence. I just like watching the big fella. I hope he gets some goals to his name because I feel like he deserves it. So Geelong by 26.
Right.
Fair enough.
Horse.
I'm going Geelong as well by about a big win. I'm going 60 plus.
60 points.
Jesus.
It's going to be a shellacking.
That is enormous.
That is big.
Jeepers.
He's at Optus Stadium as well, Fremantle's home ground, but 60-point thrashing over there. I guess Fife, I don't think he's going to be back yet. I think they still have 1 more week on his hamstring injury, so you never know. 60 points for Geelong.
You just never know, Matho.
You just never know in this day and age at all.
You never do, I'm telling you.
You don't.
Bit more of a talking point though, Jacko. That's the AFL done. I think the A-League returning as well. I say we give a bit of a review in the A-League.
We've well and truly sprung this on us because the A-League is probably the most irrelevant thing at the moment, unfortunately. Horsey hasn't watched the game. Josh hasn't watched the game. I haven't watched the game. Lockie, how many games have you watched of the A-League since its return?
I watched last night, Sydney versus Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
Newcastle come back 2-1, which is a pretty good win, and staying in the loop with victory as well. Robbie Cruz, injured and out for the season.
That is huge. That is huge.
It's not good news at all, is it?
One of Victory's best players in a struggling side.
Yeah,
it's not good for their season.
Sydney are currently 11 points clear of the top of the table.
It's season over, in my opinion. I think they're going to go all the way. They're a different quality, aren't they, Matho? They're a different quality. And they have been for a while. Yeah. Absolutely.
Graham Arnold has set them up for quite a long time.
I don't know why some of their players are playing in the A-League. It's just stupid. Some of their players are so much better than A-League standard.
No, maybe they just like the weather down here.
Who wants to live in Sydney?
What do you mean?
It would be a bad place.
I don't want to live in
Sydney. It's Australia, compared.
Yeah. Got the
who's their best player?
Who do you reckon, Matho? I think Grant's a beast. I really
should head overseas.
I don't know what's he doing.
Nikovic is a good player. He lives in Serbia. I'm sure Australia is a much nicer country than Serbia. I'm sure he's got a nice bit of a house. So
with the Serbs. In the A-League. What's wrong with the Serbs?
There's nothing wrong with the Serbs. I'm just saying I don't think it compares to Australia.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you do talk about the older players. Diego Castro from Perth, arguably one of the best playmakers in the league, has called time on the season for him. He doesn't want to risk his health nor his family, so he's leaving Perth effective immediately for the remainder of the season and will return once it's safer to do so.
Is he heading back home to Spain, is it?
I think he's staying in Perth because I don't think he can leave, but he might be heading back to Spain. Who knows, Jacko?
Yeah, all right. Fair enough. I guess
this Saturday, Victory versus Western United. Get around the lads. We probably could have chucked him in the multi. Who knows? But haven't won against United yet. So
no.
Who knows?
That's definitely a good one. I guess we'll be able to talk about that on the next podcast, considering if the Victory do get up. So make sure you tune in next week for the JLJ podcast. If you liked it, make sure you hit a like. It really helps us out. A reminder to subscribe. When we do hit the 100 subscribers, the first vlog will be released. So that's going to be very exciting. Horsey, will you make an appearance in the vlogs?
Yeah, mate. If you want me to, I'll be there.
There we go.
Yeah,
so if you want to see the man IRL, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Get us to 100 subscribers. Make sure you leave the comments, as we did say, at the start of the video, if you want any questions to be answered, as we do at the start of the video.
We will be giving away a Nike hat once we get 100 subscribers.
All right. Matho will be supplying with you.
Yeah, Matho's funding.
We'll be supplying you a Nike hat. So get excited for that, guys. Get the Nike cap. Get the vlogs going. So, yeah. See you guys.
See ya.
See ya.